Okay, so good morning, everybody. I'm Linda's evil twin, Veronica. Just kidding. Linda is taking a well-deserved vacation, so she will be back next week. So today you get to play with me. My thought for you today is on being in that sort of sleepy place, because I think we are all kind of in a sleepy place, and not just because it's early in the morning, but because we are in that sort of transitional period where it still is sort of winter, but you can feel the first little stirrings of spring. And that inner stirring is something that is really sweet when we don't rush it. Right? We don't try to rush to get to that point where the quiet is gone, or where the heaviness of the snow is gone, or where the cold that asks us to stay inward, that where that disappears, and we start to get into that mode where we just want to do and do and do. I just want to get out. I just want to get out. I just want to get out. So we rush it. We take that inner stirring and we rush it, and then we miss how sweet it is. So since yin is so much this practice of being really internal and staying kind of in that very quiet place inside, is that's the focus for today, is to be like the ground that's still a little bit sleepy, right? To be like the plants that they're not ready to bloom yet, but they're still a little bit sleepy. But there's just the beginning of that stirring, right? So you start to become aware of what's moving, or what's rising, or what's exciting in you, what's starting to find its way back to the surface, but you're not rushing it, right? So we're actually going to begin standing up. I know it seems unfair, but come to stand. I would say at the top of your mat, but it really doesn't matter anywhere on your mat. Lovely if you have the ability where you are to stand with your face towards a window, if you have something you can look out of. If not, don't worry about it. Good, but if it's easy enough to just turn towards open space, turn that way. Good. And then start to find your feet. So let your knees bend a little bit, and just start to let yourself rock forward and back towards the front of your feet, towards the back of your feet. Good, so you're shifting the weight forward, shifting the weight back. Good. And try and find what feels like right in the middle of not leaning forward and not falling back. Lift and spread your toes up off the mat, and then relax them down, and then try and scrunch your toes against your mat. So you're trying to squeeze your toes in, and then relax them. And again, lift and spread your toes, and then relax them down and squeeze, scrunch them in and squeeze. And then release. One more time, lift and spread the toes, releasing back, squeezing and scrunching the toes in, and then let them go. So just finding the full feeling of dropping into your feet. Then let your palms turn forward. Good, let your eyes close. Feel the tops of your thighs floating back in space. Feel the top of your sternum, so that's the front of your chest, rising up just a little higher. So it's not a back bend, but it is a lift. So it's just a feeling of the ribs pulling away, up and away from the hips. Good, and a gentle softening, a dropping of the tail. The eyes closed, feel your breath. So the standing does not have to be effort. So you're looking for the stance that allows you to just really be able to feel your feet. Feel the lift from the chest, and the breath that flows between those points. So you can imagine that breath flowing all the way down the body, through the spine, through the legs, down into the feet, down below the feet like roots. You can imagine the breath rising up that same way from beneath the ground, up through your legs, up through your spine, up through the top of your head and out. Imagine yourself like a tree. You can breathe the breath all the way down through the soles of the feet, down into the earth. You can breathe the breath all the way up through the soles of the feet, through the spine, up through the crown of the head, and out. Maybe you have lovely leafy branches. Maybe the branches are still bare. Don't rush it. Couple more breaths to feel your feet. If there's a gentle swaying that's happening, let the swaying happen. Don't try to stay still. This is the reality, as stillness is full of these subtle movements, these subtle stirrings. And if we rush them or we push them down, we miss how sweet it is to have something stirring in us. We miss that feeling of inspiration, the impulse to grow, to expand, to open. And that's really what spring is. It's nature's, this is where we are, the place where nature is starting to have that impulse to grow. Beautiful. Letting the eyes remain closed as you inhale. Take your arms around and up alongside your ears, making a big circle. And then as you exhale, turn your palms to face down and repeat that circle, taking the arms out and down back to your sides. And then turning the palms up. Inhale, take the arms all the way up to the sky. And then exhaling, turning the palms down, reaching that same circle all the way down. One more time, turning the palms up. Inhale, take the arms all the way up to the sky. And then as you exhale, turn the palms down, all the way back down to your sides. Beautiful. You can let your eyes open if you'd like, or keep them closed. Start to bow forward, taking your hands to the floor or blocks. Good. And then allow your spine to relax. Once you have come into that forward fold, let yourself relax. It's like a standing caterpillar. Good. So don't focus on trying to make the legs straight. Let it be soft. So Tara, relax your head. Let yourself hang. Good. The knees can bend if they need to here. And again, if there is a subtle swaying that's happening, let it happen. Good. Navel can be gently engaged because we are standing. So keep that feeling of connection to your feet. Gentle engagement of the navel to support the lower back. And hang. And that sleepy quality. Good. Take one more breath. Full breath. Beautiful. And then start to find your way down to hands and knees facing the top of your mat. We're coming into a supported child's pose. So if you have a bolster or some pillows, it's perfect. So on your knees, take the knees nice and wide, big toes come together to touch. Draw the pillow or bolster or whatever you're using between the legs. Good. So that as you take your torso forward, you can rest your belly, your chest, maybe even your head on the bolster. Good. If your bolster is not quite long enough, you can always, or whatever you're using is not quite long enough, you can always use a block in addition. And turn one cheek to the side. Good. So Mark, maybe a block under your head would feel good. No. Okay. Good. Arms can be however you'd like them. They can be in sort of a cactus arm with the elbows bent and the palms resting on the floor. You can take the hands slightly forward as though you're embracing the front of the bolster. Good. Again, find that feeling of being in the sleepy kind of place, but where you're not asleep. Nice to notice where the breath is easily flowing to, and where maybe it feels a little stuck. And the places where maybe it feels a little bit stuck or not as fluid is to just place your attention there. And imagine that area becoming softer. It's like as the sun gets warmer, the earth itself gets softer, the ground gets softer. So in that sleepy place, there's the opportunity to keep becoming more fluid, releasing any restriction that is not allowing that inner stirring to sprout, to grow. Lovely to forget even that there is any growth to happen and just feeling the softness in the space. If you'd like to turn your cheek to the other side, now's a good time. Can you feel every point of contact on the bolster and the floor getting wide? Tops of your feet spreading wide. Lower back becoming wide. Upper shoulders becoming wide. And take one more very deep breath. Pause at the top of that breath. Just feel that feeling of suspension. And as you exhale, release the breath. Let go of any other holding, internal holding that's there. And then do that again. Inhale, breathe fully, completely in. At the top of the breath, pause and hold. Feel yourself suspended. And then exhale, release all inner holding. One last time, inhale fully, deep breath in. Pause at the top, feel yourself in between. And exhale, release all inner holding. Come soft. And then slowly begin to find your way out of your child's pose. Maybe pressing the hands into the floor so you feel that connection again of something solid. Good. You can move your bolster to the side. You'll need it again in a second. Come to sit just for a moment. Stretch the legs out in front of you. Then do a little bit of tapping. Just tapping the hands along the length of the legs, up and down. Good, inner and outer edge of the legs. And then come up, tap gently on your belly, on your chest, on your arms, your back, whatever you can reach of your shoulders. Come to your low back, middle back, back of the ribs, kidneys. And then top of your head. Good. And then release the hands alongside your hips. Press the hands straight down into the floor. Flex your feet. Good. Press down through the thighs. Lift up through your spine. Close your eyes. So just for a moment, push into your hands. Press down through your seat. Ribs in, navel in. Lift through that front of the chest. Sternum again. Lift through the crown of the head. Push through everything for a moment, like roots pushing through earth. One more deep breath. Push. And then release. Nice. And you're coming into lung bench. So if you have your bolster handy, is you can turn it perpendicular on your mat behind you. You're going to lay back on the bolster. You may need a block as well, or another pillow for underneath the head. So as you lay back, your arms are going to be in a letter T, and the bolster is behind your rib cage. The top or the underside of your arm and your armpit should be resting just at the top edge of your bolster. So your arms are actually resting on the floor just above your bolster. Good. Arms are letter T. Laying back, your bolster is long behind your ribs. Good. And again, your arms should be resting just above the top edge, just at that edge. And then a block or a pillow underneath the head. Make sure you have something there for support, because it can feel a little bit too much on the back and the neck to not have anything. Good. You're welcome here. If you'd like to bring the bottoms of the feet together and let your knees go wide into Baddha Konasana, you can do that. Good. Placing blocks underneath the knees can also make that position feel very easeful. Breathe very deeply. Enjoying the heaviness. And we are asked always in a spiritual practice in yoga, especially, it says when you are unsure about the rhythms of your own life, is to look at nature. And whatever nature is doing, try to do that. So this period of winter is one that we in modern society, we tend to rush through it. Push through the heavy, push through the quiet. Give yourself time to settle and to feel what's stirring, what's ready to move and what's ready to let go. Because it's both. The season of winter is also the season of things dissolving, of things dying, going to sleep. And if we rush through that part of the process, then whatever is new has no fuel to run on. It has no ground, no fertile ground to grow. So become very heavy and dissolve. Dissolve the inner world, the inner holding. And start to become aware of what's stirring. your mind begins to wander very far, pay attention again to where the heaviness is. The weight of your body on the bolster, the weight of your body on the floor itself, the earth itself. And connect to the actual feeling of heaviness, like a weight drawing you in. So we disconnect from that impulse to always be getting up to move. A long, deep breath in. Pause at the top of the breath. As you exhale, let go. Inner holding. You don't even have to know what you're holding, but drop it. And inhale again to the very top of your breath. Pause there, suspended. And then exhaling, releasing the breath completely and letting go of inner holding. It's just releasing your grip. And one more breath like that, inhaling all the way up to the top of the breath. Pausing for a moment. As you exhale, feel your inner self soften. Release the breath. And then slowly begin to make your way out of the pose, bringing the arms maybe back alongside your ribs, maybe bending your knees. Good. Bring yourself all the way back up to sit. Stretching the legs straight out in front of you. Good. You can separate the feet a little bit here if you'd like, hips width. And then let yourself begin to fold forward. Relax the feet, so no effort. Just let yourself fold forward and hang, caterpillar. Arms can be alongside you, palms facing up or down. But let yourself fold forward, let the back round, let the head relax. Good. If you need to have something resting your head on, you can absolutely place blocks or whatever you need. You're not here for that long, so don't let yourself get crazy. And one more breath, let yourself drop a little deeper. And then slowly start to bring yourself back to upright. Good. Bend your knees, plant your feet, roll yourself down to your backs. Good. Stretch the right leg straight down to the floor. Bring your left knee in towards your chest. And then bring that knee over to the right into spinal twist. Good. So we're coming into cat pulling tail. So if you can, straighten that left leg and reach for the ankle or keep holding behind the thigh or reach for your big toe. Good. You can also place a block or a bolster underneath that ankle or that leg so it has something to rest on. Your right leg that is down towards the top of your mat, bend that knee, take your heel in towards your butt. Your left hand might reach for the foot or the ankle, so that bottom leg is in a quad stretch. Good. If keeping hold of the ankle or the foot does not feel possible for the shoulder or the leg, don't hold the foot and just keep the knee bent. And then you're relaxing your left shoulder towards the floor. Good. And practice again that feeling that if there is somewhere that feels a little tight, a little restricted, instead of the impulse to move away from it or to try to do something with it, just put your attention there where the tightness is. And with your attention, can you bring that feeling of softening? That quiet place is the place where we can just observe what's happening. And we rush through that. In places in the body or the mind where something is being held, we rush through really seeing what it is because we just want to fix it, get to the other side. So this sleepy place of winter is to be in a state where you're just observing. And with your observing where that tightness is, how it is, why it is, what it is what can naturally rise into that space, the softening. It's compassion, kindness. It said those sleepy states, those heavy states are so beneficial because it allows the mind to become fertile ground for those feelings and more, for contentment, for peace, for joy, for all the things that we long for. It starts with just being able to observe, what am I holding? Where is it? And can I bring a softness to those hard edges? So what flows through me is compassion, is kindness, contentment. And when your mind is wandering again, bring it to the heaviness of the floor, heaviness of the body. The breath can remain light, the mind can remain light. But don't lose that firm, heavy container that is the physical form. It's the fertile ground. Take a deep breath in, full breath in. Pause at the top of the breath. As you exhale, slowly release the pose, release whatever is being held in the mind. Good. Slowly unwind the legs. As you come back to lay on your back, bend both knees. Draw the knees in towards your chest. Take your left thigh on top of your right, stack the knees. Left thigh on top of right, separate your feet, reach for your ankles or your shins. Good. I know usually here we'd say flex the feet. You can curl those toes back just a little bit so the knees are supported, but don't be aggressive with it. And you're just holding the knees in towards the chest, so try not to do a big squeeze. Again, staying in that sort of sleepy place where your effort is only as much as is necessary and no more. Good. Unwind the knees, please. Plant your feet on the floor, hip width apart. Arms can be alongside you or take the arms up overhead, holding opposite elbows or wrists. You could also have your arms in cactus arms. A couple moments in constructive rest, so not letting the knees fall in or out. Allowing the back of the body to stay really full. You can imagining that heaviness of the floor, drawing your body to it, drawing the back of the rib cage down, drawing the lower back down, pulling the heavy thigh bones down into the hip socket. You might feel again like your feet planted on the floor, again, the heaviness of it. You can imagine that feeling of roots again growing from your feet. So even if you wanted to lift your toes or you wanted to lift your feet, you couldn't because there's so much of that downward pull. So you relax into the heaviness. Letting yourself really go into the sensation of rest. Now it's called constructive, and constructive implies that there's this need to really let rest be rest, not sleep. The sleep is I tune out, I'm gone. But rest is I'm here. I'm here and I'm relaxed. I'm here and I'm in a state of soft openness, receptiveness, acceptance. This is the beauty of the winter season, is that it automatically invites us to go to that. So that what begins to stir in us that says it's so important enough for us to get up and move, that's the spring energy. That we can feel what it is, and it's not just an extension of what's been going on before. So this is the return, the season of returning to that state of heaviness that's also very open, receptive. Not a mistake, right? That in Chinese medicine, those qualities all are described as yin. Begin to stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Flexing the feet, pressing down through the heels. Release the arms from overhead. Take the arms back alongside your body, palms facing up. Like you are doing a laying down Tadasana, mountain pose. Active feet press down through the heels, press through the tops of the thighs. Good. Feel the backs of your shoulders pressing down so the chest is spreading wide. Your ribs are softening to the floor. There's even a gentle lengthening of the back of your throat and the weight of your head, back of your head, become very present there. Laying down Tadasana, whole body awake, but mind relaxed. One more deep breath out through all the edges of yourself, your fingers, your toes. And as you exhale, release all of that effort. Just let your feet drop open. Feel yourself go soft. And without making a big deal about it, begin to draw your left knee in towards your chest. Good. Come into spinal twist, bringing that knee across your body. Good. Did I say the wrong leg? Should it be the right knee in? I'm sorry. Right knee comes in towards your chest. Make sure you're doing the opposite twist from what you did before. Sorry about that. Right knee comes in. Bring it over to the left side of your body. And that top leg comes straight if you can. You can hold behind the thigh, or if it's available, you can reach for the ankle or the big toe. You can have a prop underneath that shin or the foot. And then the leg that is extended towards the bottom of your mat, bottom leg, bend your knee. Take your heel back and up towards your butt. Good. Your right hand will reach back for the foot or the ankle if that's available. And if not, simply relax that shoulder towards the floor. Let the knee stay bent. Remember, you are only putting in as much effort as is necessary, and no more than that. So in the position that you are in, if you have to continue to grip to keep yourself there, change your position. Either use more props or modify, but let go of the grip. It's the gripping in our mind that we're really seeking to soften. The grip in the body is nothing to be upset about. So we practice undoing that gripping in the mind, and the body will soften. We can approach where there is tightness in the body with more compassion, when the mind isn't trying to just get to the other side of it. It's perhaps our greatest practice to be in this body and not try to fix it. Practice noticing, observing where there's tightness or where there's discomfort. And with with your attention, can you bring ease, softness? When the mind wanders far away, notice where it's gone to, like you're chasing butterflies. You can smile at where the mind has gone to, where it escaped to. And then can you bring yourself back to that feeling of heavy? Back to the state of observation, openness. Take a deep breath, full breath. And as you exhale, begin to release the pose, unwinding the legs, slowly bringing yourself back onto your back. As you do, bring your knees in towards your chest. Okay, take your right thigh on top of your left, right knee stacks on top of left. Again, this should be the opposite way you crossed the legs before. If it's not, switch it. And then take your feet nice and wide, reach for your ankles or your shins. And again, you're holding so that the knees can stay gently in towards the chest. Only use as much effort as is necessary. Feet softly flexed. Imagining the laziest yoga practice you can do. So just breathe into the sensation, not trying to make anything happen. And gently release the legs. Take both feet back down to the floor. Feet flat, hips width apart, knees bent. And again, you can reach the arms overhead if you'd like, holding opposite elbows or wrists, or let the arms rest alongside you. Constructive rest. The position is meant to create a restful state for the internal, the deeply internal muscles of the pelvis. It's not the surface level that this position is looking to relax. It's the deep inner layer of your physical body that is seeking to relax. So getting to the layer of holding that we didn't even know that we had. So continue to connect to that feeling of heaviness, your lower back, your feet, your shoulders, even the back of the head. Imagining the thigh bones softening, dropping into the hip socket. Just feel the body becoming heavier. And observing where the mind wanders to. Observing what prompts you to have that impulse to move. And feeling the deepness of your breath pulling you back in. Wherever your mind wanders, always has to come back to right here. And slowly begin to stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Letting the arms fall alongside your torso, palms facing up. Flex the feet for a moment. Again, a soft flex. Press down through your heels. Like you're doing that laying down Tadasana. Good. Feel the press of the back of the shoulders so the chest is open. The press down to the tops of the thighs. A lengthening of the back of the throat, like you're pulling the tips of your ears, the tops of your ears, up towards the top of your mat. Just one more moment, whole body awake. And then relax, let the feet drop open. And breathe deeply. There are some lineages where you practice a single posture, or maybe one or two postures, and then Shavasana. And then one or two more postures, and then Shavasana. So to be able to come to this state of rest, not as an end result, but simply as a state that is yours. It's part of the cycle of your experience. It's part of the inner workings of the body and the mind, this sleepy place, this heavy place. Can you be in Shavasana knowing that it is not the end? It's simply another moment to breathe. And slowly begin to bend your knees, plant your feet on the floor, Separate your feet nice and wide on your mat. Let the knees rock from side to side like windshield wipers to the right and to the left. And then coming back to stillness, bring the knees a little closer together, drop them to either side, bring yourself up to sit. Whatever feels like the best, least amount of effort to come up to sit. Stretch your legs out nice and wide. You're going to turn your belly so the legs are nice and wide in a straddle. Turn your belly towards your right leg. So one hand on either side of that thigh, and then just let yourself fold forward, walk forward. If you'd like here, you can have either blocks resting on the legs or near the legs to rest your head on, or underneath the elbows. If you have a bolster and your blocks and you want to make a little bench, so 2 blocks with a bolster laying across the top that you can rest your arms on. It's also a nice variation. Good. Yeah, so again, there can be props that rest underneath the head. There can be props that rest underneath the elbows. Good, so you're in a straddle, turning towards the right leg. Letting the spine round. Just imagining. My choices for your positions today have a lot to do with that feeling of the long muscles of the back and the pelvis. Being able to just relax, get a little longer. Stay in the quiet, sleepy place. Where you're not rushing through what you feel, not trying to get to the other side. Actually noticing the inner knots, not the outer ones, where the body is tight. That just directs your attention to where something's being held. So you place your attention on the holding itself, the feeling of grip. And observe what is really being gripped, held. And this is where sometimes that inner observation turns into emotion. It turns into tears or frustration. And this is the power of yin, right? As that inner world starts to rise up when our focus is not on the outside. To become very good at observing in a very sleepy, effortless way. You're not looking for anything to fix. You're just looking at what's there. Maybe you're not even looking, you're just breathing. And with that openness, whatever needs your attention will rise. One more deep, full breath in. Pause at the top of the breath. As you exhale, start to gently release the position, coming all the way back up to center. Good. Pausing for a moment, letting your hands come back behind your hips. So lean back into your hands, lift your chest, maybe let the head fall back to open the throat. Good. Hands can be as wide as they need to be. Nice, beautiful, Larry. And then gently bring yourself back to upright and start to turn towards the second leg, the left leg. Moving your props. Again, one hand on either side of the left leg is the suggestion. You can, of course, if the legs are a little tighter, the knees feel aggravated here, you can place a rolled blanket or a towel underneath the knee. Then walk yourself forward any amount, again, making sure you have what you need either underneath the forehead, underneath your elbows, maybe both. It's a strange place to be that we get very tired of being in closed, quiet spaces or being in the same space. That wintry energy that says, don't stop looking at what's right in front of you. Even though you've seen it 1,000 times, look again. The same is true for your outer world as you're bored maybe being in your house all the time. I think there's nothing else to do here. Look again. We use this practice to return to that open state where we're really looking, we're really seeing. We're able to soften those places that have become a little bit rigid and hard. Spring is the energy that is renewal. Winter is the season of taking stock. What's become depleted? Where have I begun ignoring myself? And where is there desire in me that is ready to stir? Because without desire, we don't enter into our life joyfully. Without desire, there's going to be a feeling of there being a lot of effort. And effort, when there is desire, is joyful. To come back to this open state to find where is the desire stirring. Take a full deep breath in. Pause at the top of the breath. And then as you exhale, slowly begin to release the position. Again, letting your hands come back behind your hips. It can be on fingertips or palms flat. Lift your chest, lean back. Open the throat if you'd like, dropping the head back. And imagining this is you, right, on the beach, in the sun. You are opening yourself to warmth. Or that you're simply opening to whatever comes. That receptive state. And slowly walk yourself back up. Nicely done. Good. Bring your legs back towards each other. Give them a little shake if you want to do like a little bit of that tapping again, if it feels like that will help move any feelings of stagnation or holding. You can go ahead and tap. Good. And then slowly begin to find your way onto your belly. If you have a blanket that you can roll, or maybe not a full bolster, but a pillow that you can use, I'd like you to come into Sphinx pose with a rolled blanket underneath your low belly. So right across the pelvic bones. So you're coming onto your belly, legs back behind you. And again, you can use a kind of thickly rolled blanket, pretty thick. A bolster might be a little too much. And if you have nothing convenient to put there, then that's fine. But you want it right across the front ridge of your pelvic bone. So right where those bony parts, the front of your pelvis are, you want it right across there. So the low abdomen. Good. And then you're on your elbows, on your forearms, chest lifted. Feet can go as wide as you'd like here. So if the lower back is a little bit restricted, then separate the feet wider. Good. Find the angle of the head that feels like there is not a pull on the neck, but where you're also not trying to maintain a huge back bend. And breathe consciously, especially if you have something under your belly. Breathe into the lowest part of your belly. Try and push into that blanket or prop. Even if you don't have something there, breathe into the lowest part of your belly, into the lowest part of your spine. Ayurveda says that winter is kapha season. Kapha is earth and water. So it's connecting to that very heavy quality. And also that fluidness that softens the hard edges, that softens the roughness. The two qualities that we need to build anything, to grow anything, earth and water. Maybe for a moment here, let your jaw open, dropping the lower jaw, let the mouth open. Just so that you're aware that that's a place that you are holding. And then as the mouth closes again, you bring it back softer. Keep breathing into the lowest part of your belly. You want to feel pressure. You want there to be a sensation of something solid beneath you. One more full breath. Pause at the top of the breath, lifting through the chest, through the crown of the head. Then exhale, slowly release. You can slide that prop out from underneath you. Just come down to your belly, drop the chest to the floor. If you'd like, you can bring the elbows wide, making a pillow with the hands, resting the forehead on the hands for crocodile. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you can, of course, use a different prop underneath the forehead or simply turn the cheek to the side. And there is such a thing as doing Shavasana on your belly. So if you find that this position is one that feels very supportive or very soothing, you'd like to stay here for Shavasana, you're welcome to do that. Make sure you have whatever props you need. If you would like to take Shavasana on your back, take one more breath on your belly. And start to transition yourself onto your back. Maybe taking a moment, drawing the knees in towards the chest, circling the knees, a little massage for the lower spine. And I am not offended if no one wants to do Shavasana on your belly. I'm just telling you it's an option. And then if you are on your back, as you are ready, you can take a final spinal twist if that feels good, dropping the knees to the right, pausing, and then dropping them to the left. And finding your way into Shavasana. Very gently bring the awareness back to the breath. And let the body begin to stretch and move, again using as little effort as is necessary. And as you're ready, if you're on your back, draw your knees in towards your chest, or begin to push the floor away. If you are on your belly, maybe taking a child's pose. And finding your way onto your right side if you're on your back. And pressing the floor away to come back up to sit. Again, be lazy about it, be sleepy. And then bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. Let yourself stay in this state that is sleepy. The state where you are able to just observe, where you're not looking for what you should be doing next or what needs your attention, but to actually let yourself be really open. So your attention is drawn to where it needs to be drawn, not to where you think it should go. This is the perfect season to drop into, again, what is dissolving as well as where there is stirring. So that as you enter into spring, you're entering into what really is ready to grow and not trying to keep going what's been trying to dissolve. So we're in that in-between state. Stay heavy, don't rush through it. Don't try to get away. Earth and water is the season that we're in. So be steady, be still, be open. And see what rises into that space, what demands your attention. Close the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend until I see you again.
Thank you.
I will tell you to just take a look at the website or the emails. Make sure you get them because there are things coming up, but I don't want you to think right now.
Thank you, Veronica.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, you're welcome. Give me a good report card to Linda.